Hi guys, today I am here to answer your burning questions, or just your questions. Sitting on my couch today, didn't feel like setting up all my lights, nor did I feel like really putting on more than brow gel, mascara, and lip gloss. I have my co-host Rue here, as I do have one question directed at Rue, so let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so my first question is from Instagram. It is from Marley D, and excuse Rue just going to absolute town cleaning herself, but she said, what are your favorite videos to film and what are your favorite videos to watch? So my favorite videos to film right now, I would say vlogs. I've had a lot of fun vlogging. I feel like I'm challenging myself creatively with editing, with what to capture, with how to kind of put it all together, because it is very different for me. So I've had a lot of fun filming vlogs, and not only that, but I'm really excited to be able to look back in a few years and be like, oh, that's what I was doing that week in my life. And I think it's just really, really interesting, because I know sometimes when I was on vacation and I had vlogged in the past, it was kind of annoying having to like stop and try and capture things that really can kind of take you out of the moment. But at the same time, looking back, I'm so glad to have those vlogs as a really good memory. So those are definitely my favorite to film at the moment. And then my favorite videos to watch, I love a full face of first impressions or something like that. I know a lot of people feel there's no value in that, but I just find them incredibly entertaining, whether or not they're giving me like an in-depth review. I don't always need an in-depth review. I just want to watch someone put on makeup, so I really do enjoy a full face of first impressions. Okay, I got a bunch of questions from my friend Shell, so thank you so much for trying to bulk up my content. She said, if you could use one brand for the rest of your life, what would you pick? And that's a really interesting question, because I find whenever I tell anybody what I do, or if anybody knows that like I'm a makeup junkie, the first question I always ask is, what's your favorite brand? And to me, that's the most devastating question. Rue-man, you're supposed to be in the video. Get back in your bed. Get in your bed. You gotta give people what they want. Thank you. Don't you dare get in there. She never gets in this, and now she's trying to get it in. Anyways, but if I had to choose, it would probably be MAC or Makeup Forever if I had to choose, solely based on the sheer amount of products they have, the color, the ranges. If I really had to choose, it would probably be MAC, because I feel like their complexion products are the ones that I know best, and I know I love their blushes. I know that I love their, you know, extra dimension skin finishes. I know I love their lipsticks, so that would probably be the brand that I would choose. Okay, Rue, I guess it's not gonna be you. I'll put this plant back here, and then when you're ready, you can come back. Okay, next up, this question is from Makeup by NV, and she said, things you wish you knew before you started going full-time for YouTube. And that's an interesting question. There's a whole bunch of things I guess I wish I knew. Every time I try something new, I feel like I always learn something new. So especially when working with brands, it's like working, you know, if you have a job where you have clients or you work in customer service, every client is going to want something different. So it's really kind of about anticipating your needs, anticipating where things are going to go wrong, or what kind of things the brands may be sensitive about or may find really important that they don't bring up. So it's really about kind of being proactive and asking those questions. So that is something that I've definitely continuing to work on. And in addition to that, there's not really a ton, I guess. I talked about this in a recent vlog, but just the whole business aspect of it. So being sure to keep really good track of invoices, of expenses, of all that kind of like businessy stuff that to me is just not as fun as filming makeup videos. But I don't know if it's equally as important or more important, but that's definitely something that I wish I had been taking better care of, being more organized with those kind of things straight from the beginning. So this next question is from Samantha Sean, I believe, and she asks me all kinds of questions and always comments on videos. I recognize your name, so thank you. But she says, what's your favorite thing to do on a Friday or Saturday night? Do you go out? Not really. Not a huge going out person. I definitely was more probably before I moved to Toronto when I lived in Newfoundland, but even towards the end of that, I was kind of over it going out, going drinking, going clubbing, especially here in Toronto, because it's a little bit of a different scene here. A lot of the clubs have like wait lists or $20 cover, or not all of them, but it's just a bit of a different scene here. So I don't really go out like that. I much prefer like a few dinner drinks and home in bed by 11, but my favorite thing to do probably is just to like stay home with my boyfriend and cook or order takeout and watch a movie. That's to me is just pure bliss. So JStar83 said pros and cons of living in St. John's versus Toronto. That's very interesting. I'm probably a little bit biased, so a little bit of background on me. I was born in St. John's, Newfoundland, which is an island on the east coast of Canada. It has about 500,000 people. It's a gigantic island, but there's not a ton of people that live there. And then I moved to Toronto in January of 2016. So a huge pro of living in St. John's is the real estate is much cheaper than in Toronto. Definitely, if I lived in St. John's right now, I would have bought a house. In Toronto, I dream of renting a 2-bedroom apartment. But on the flip side of that, I feel like moving to Toronto was huge for my YouTube channel. And when I moved here, I discovered that people can do this full time, because I didn't know anything about PR or media or events and all this kind of stuff. I had no idea that this whole world existed. And then when I moved to Toronto, I was like, oh wow, it is chock-a-block full of opportunities here. And that was when I started to really take my YouTube channel seriously. So for me, that is huge. Also, a pro of living in Newfoundland. I'm really glad that I grew up in Newfoundland. I feel like it's an incredibly unique place. It's super cool looking. It's very, very different. The people, you know, people always talk about how great the people are in Newfoundland, and I think they're great. You get like icebergs, whales. It's a very unique place, and it's quite safe as well. So I feel like it was a great place to grow up. But for me now and what I want to do, Toronto is my home. I was really scared when I moved here. I hadn't been here since I was like 16. I was like, I'm gonna have to take the subway. I'm gonna have to like navigate around the city. And it's like, you just move here and it just becomes your life. Like, you just kind of adjust. And I didn't move here alone. You know, I moved here with my boyfriend and with Rue and stuff. So there's obviously some comfort there. And I didn't spend much time exploring the city even when I got here, because I was working a full-time job, 3 YouTube videos a week. I was like, work, back home, YouTube, work, YouTube, work, YouTube. So I didn't really see the city for the first year that I lived here anyways, but for me, Toronto is definitely the place to be. Okay, let's move on to a few questions I asked you in that like kind of community tab about other questions you had. I've had a couple questions about moving to the United States and if I ever would. Right now, no, I would not. There's a lot of great things about the United States, and I think, again, similar to Toronto, somewhere like LA has tons of opportunities for YouTube, but at the same time, I think for me, being in Toronto is much more beneficial than being in LA, because I cannot compete with the big dogs, nor do I want to. Toronto is a really great place if you are a Canadian creator, so I wouldn't move to the United States right now, but I will say, since I've been to California, not necessarily LA, I really liked LA, my boyfriend didn't, he felt it was too much driving, which was a lot of driving, but California itself, the weather was just incredible. So we were talking about, you know, how we'd love to live, and we're like, where is warm and like, you know, trying to find that balance of like where it's warm and affordable and safe and, you know, not too far away and all those things. So I definitely miss California for sure, but we have no plans to live in the United States. I mean, my boyfriend is still working on getting his permanent residency in Canada, so like we'll settle that first. But as of right now, no plans to move to the United States. I'm very happy in Toronto. Oh, this question is interesting, and I saw Emily Noel got it in her Q&A, so maybe it's why it popped up here. Oh, sorry, that question about the United States was from Maisha Boken. And then Christina Dye said, if you lost all of your makeup, what are the top 10 products you would purchase and restart your collection? So I'm going to do a dedicated video to that, so stay tuned. I have a cat related question here. It is from Ledmar Lebertad, and it says, if you could get another cat, would you rather get it as a kitten or as an adult? So when I actually adopted Rue, and I talk about this in my last Q&A, I'll link to it down below, and I have a video of when I first met Rue at the shelter. But when I adopted Rue, she was actually 4 or 5 years old, and she was a breeding cat that they had retired. And from what I've kind of read, partially because she's a Siamese, but also partially because she was a breeding cat, they have amazing temperaments. So you see how cuddly she is, how vocal, how fun, how sweet. She's never like scratched in her life. I don't know that she ever learned how to do that. So I think what I would like to do is, I want a hairless cat for my second cat. So I think what I would try and do is adopt a retired breeding cat again, because I have no problem getting a cat that's like 4 or 5 years old or 10 years old, whatever. because the temperament is just so good, and I'm happy to get somebody to have a little cat retirement home. So although a kitten is super cute, I don't feel the need to adopt a kitten. So I have a question here from Makeup Fits, and it says, are you ever overwhelmed with your makeup stash? I am, and I don't make videos. And absolutely, but it's not something I talk about because no one's gonna take pity on you for being overwhelmed by your makeup collection. But a lot of the time when I get a PR package, I see work. I don't get to like touch it right away and put it on my face and throw it in my makeup collection. You know, it goes in a box and I don't touch it till it's been photographed. After I photograph it, blah, 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 blah. Like, but at the same time, like, I'm very grateful and I feel very happy that I've worked my way onto so many PR lists, and it's a huge part of what keeps my channel running, but it can be a little overwhelming at times, but not complaining. So this is a really interesting question from TG Beauty, and she said, hey Samantha, so obviously you're a beauty influencer for brands, and let us know when you dislike or like a product and why, but is this a two-way street? Can you influence beauty brands too? If yes, how? Is it challenging to do so? So I personally, maybe not rightfully, took credit for Wet n Wild adding matte brown transition shades to their new palettes. I mean, I don't think I actually did, but when I had met one of their VPs of marketing like 2 years ago, I had said, you know, everybody loved the Vanity palette because it's one of the few drugstore palettes that has an actual good matte brown transition shade in there. And then when all of their new palettes came out, what did they have? But I don't know that I actually did that. But at the same time, I'd say my biggest push is on shade ranges, especially with a lot of the Canadian brands. I bring up to them multiple times, you know, hey, people want me to review your foundation and I can't because you don't have my shade. And I'm not rude about it or anything, but I'm just like, you know, are you going to be doing this? There's a big push for that. Things like that. Or, you know, I'll bring up to brands things that I think are important. For example, Shoppers Drug Mart, I have contacts there, and I've told them how much and I'm sure the majority of people would love to see their beauty boutique extended to drugstore brands, because they started their online beauty boutique recently, which is amazing. You can use Ebates, you can use your Optimum points, you can get a lot of the big makeup brands from their online website, and it comes beautifully packaged. It's great because Canada doesn't have a ton of options. Shipping is really fast. I've had great experiences with that website, but what I would even more so love to see is the drugstore brands there, because getting drugstore makeup in Canada, as we know, is tough. And a lot of the brands don't want to, sorry, not a lot of the retailers don't stock the darker shades because they don't have the shelf space for it. So shelf space is not an issue in an e-commerce world, right? Warehouse, yes. But anyways, so that's something I've been pushing for, but absolutely it's a two-way street in my books. How much influence do I actually have? I don't know, but I'm happy to have their ear and, you know, pass along my feedback and your feedback as well. So this question I got a few times, but the one I'm looking at now is from Rach the Great. Oh, it's an 8. Yeah, Rach the Great. It says, how do you stay motivated with all the negativity in the beauty community? And it doesn't really, the actual beauty community, it doesn't really affect me negatively. What affects me negatively is people leaving negative comments directed at me and about me on my channel. The actual community itself can annoy me and it can frustrate me for sure, just seeing things, and it's hard because you can say like, oh, avoid it, but at the same time, like, I kind of need to know what's going on in the community, not necessarily the drama, but just like launches, what people are talking about, etc. And the drama kind of gets piled in there. So for me, what I can say to that is, what annoys me even more is people who complain about a negative beauty community but don't do anything to change it. So for me, I hope that you feel my channel is a space where it is drama-free, it is, you know, relatable, it's interesting, it's hopefully entertaining and funny at times. Because people say like, I miss the old YouTube, I miss the old YouTube, and you know, things are gonna grow, things are gonna change like any industry and any entertainment format, but for me, I still feel like I'm doing, you know, the old YouTube or some version of the old YouTube. So that's kind of my thoughts on that, is if you don't like the new YouTube, unsubscribe to those people, don't watch their content, especially as a pure like consumer or watcher, whatever you want to call it. You don't need to see any of that stuff, right? Like for me, it pops up because I'm following so many people and so many things, but for you, if you feel overwhelmed by all the drama, don't click it. don't unsubscribe from the people that you don't like, and they won't get recommended to you as much, right? If you're clicking, if you're curious, if you're whatever, then the algorithms on social media will continue to feed it to you. So for me, you know, like if I, not by accident, if I like just super curious about, like, for example, a drama channel and I click something, I'll most likely immediately regret it, exit out, and then it's all that's getting recommended to me, and I'm like, why did I do this? I don't actually care. So yeah, so that's what I would say. Just find your people and stick with them. Hi Bubs, you're back. I have a question for you. Okay, so this question comes from Caitlin Teaches Things. And she says, Rue, do you like it when your mom smushes her makeup face into you for cuddles? Also, do you want siblings? Now she's quiet. I'll translate for you. She says, I love when my mom smushes her makeup face and gets lipstick on my nice light fur. And I actually don't know if she would want siblings or not. I'm curious about that because she was a breeding cat. I'm sure she's used to like being around other cats, but I don't know if like how she would do, oh, you just got all your hair in my lip gloss. I don't know how she'd actually do around other cats like in the house. We're really curious to like get another cat here and see. Oh, be careful. Oh my God. Can you see this? She literally never gets inside there. You're very cute. You can see your little head there. But yeah, I would love for her to have siblings. Take that up with my boyfriend. So Roxy asked what shows I'm currently into, and I love television. I love television. I was talking about both of these shows in a recent vlog, but I've been watching iZombie on Netflix, and I've also been watching the Jersey Shore family reunion, vacation, whatever it is. My boyfriend and I have been watching the newish season of Prison Break. We actually finished that last night. It's kind of foolish, like it's kind of ridiculous, but at the same time it was quite good and suspenseful. And then in addition to that, like two of my favorite shows of all time are Grey's Anatomy and Law & Order SVU. And then earlier this year, I was just absolutely obsessed with anything British on Netflix. There's so many good British shows on Netflix, mostly like detective-y crime ones, but they're incredible. I thought this question was super interesting, and I might end on this one because I feel like I've been talking for a long time, but it's from Burgundy and Blue, and she comments on all of my videos, always has great things to say, and she said, I wonder, is there something special that Canadians focus on in beauty more than folks from the US? For instance, Koreans generally have more elaborate skincare. And I thought that was such an interesting question, and I don't really have an answer for you, but I figured I would kind of put it out there and see what you guys had to say. In my mind, I feel like if anything, Canada and the US probably has the most similarities. I see differences sometimes with like British beauty bloggers. They go a lot more natural. They're a lot more about like glossy skin and things like that. But I feel like in Canada, we kind of borrow from the US, and the US maybe borrows from us, or maybe they don't even know we exist sometimes. But I feel like Canada is very similar to the US. I don't think that there's a whole lot of difference. Maybe if you go to like Montreal and Quebec, you'll get a little bit more European influences, but overall I feel like it's pretty similar. It's a very interesting question though. So I'm gonna leave you at that. I hope you found this interesting and you learned something new, or just, you know, wasted a few minutes while you're getting ready for your day. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat at SamanthaJaneYT, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!